we'll take the whole thing, you know? Good afternoon, everyone. Happy What's Brewing. Oh, attention. We're outgrowing our holiday theater. Yeah. Amy said the same thing. She's like, maybe 10 tables is not enough. Interestingly enough, how many of you in the room is this your first What's Brewing? Welcome. Thank you. Welcome. What's Brewing, believe it or not, started in the club room with less than 20 people. And a resident donated her teacups to us for every month during that occasion. She'd pack them all up, bring them up here, and then pack them up, bring them, and take them home. And the meeting was the executive director really just asking the residents about what's going on out there in your streets. What are people talking about? What questions do you have? And then I tried to carry that on, and then we started to get fuller and fuller. And that club room, before you knew it, we had nowhere to sit. I was dodging pillars to make eye contact with people. So someone suggested, why don't we try to do it in the theater? And then we did it, and we had 6 or 8 tables, and now we're up to 10 tables. And we do record for those that are not able to come down and join us. So What's Brewing has almost got a better attendance than Resident Forum. It's more fun. You know what? It's the cookies, and that's what it is. If we feed you dessert, you show up, right? So What's Brewing is really meant for updates, casual conversation. I always say questions are welcome anytime. You do not have to wait for a forum or for What's Brewing to ask questions. My door is always open. Most of you have my cell phone number at this point. So it's more of just finding out what you all are interested in getting updates on. I feel like there is so much going on. The stuff I worry about, the stuff that keeps me up at night, are the things you don't want to have to think about and don't want to worry about. So sometimes I don't know what is important to you. However, some of you are kind enough to send notes to me, which I do appreciate, to prompt, hey, this is kind of things that are out in the streets. We'd like to know about this. We'd like to know about that. And then before you know it, it leads from one topic to the other, and we kind of weave that through over the next hour. So major updates that I have right now are on a few of the projects that we've been talking about. As you know, we are in budget season now, which means we are doing the preliminary conversations around what type of capital projects need to occur in 2027. Some of those ideas come directly from residents. Many of them come through what we call a work order system that basically keeps record of all of our assets on campus. So Piazza building as a whole is considered an asset. So it'll go anywhere from interior decor to flooring to the amenities like the gym and the spa and the pool to the exterior paint. And ultimately, over a period of time, there's kind of some estimates that go in and tell us, okay, after this many years, you should paint. After this many years, you should be looking at interior updates. So every asset on our campus has kind of a rotation of work that needs to be done. So most of what we decide on for capital improvements come through this system that kind of prompts us to consider looking at it and evaluating it and considering it for a project. For 2027, one of the biggest projects will be a project that we opened in this year that will roll into next year, which is the Bistro redesign. As you know, Bistro opened in 2009, so it's 17 years old or so and has not had any major updates, and we've grown. So we're serving a lot more people, and now we have Sandy over the last few years doing a lot of baking in that space, which is pretty tight as it stands, and a dish area that's very, very small, so it's not adequate to be able to quickly get dishes cleaned and out. So we are redesigning that bistro so that the flow can hopefully better serve us. We are not getting a bigger bistro. We're stuck with the walls and the layout that we have, but we are redesigning the flow of how the cooks can use their space, how Sandy can use her space, and then hopefully the flow of traffic a little bit better for all of you, and some suggestions that have come over the years on requests. So I do have some updates on that I'll show you via PowerPoint or a small YouTube video. So I'll jump into that. But if I start now, we'll never get off the topic. So we're going to give you a few more updates before I show it to you. But I will tell you, there is not a start date established yet. We have not received any type of approval from city. So once we go off for permits, those tend to take up to 90 days. And the architect that we had on campus doing the evaluation said they don't even open it until the 89th day. City is not moving in a quick pace at all. There is no urgency. So I don't expect to see us finish the project for sure, but probably not even open it until October or November of this year. Obviously, more to come. If I get more updates on that, you'll hear about it in Tribune and what's brewing in future conversations. But right now, we're still waiting on permitting. Also, just finished up our Milano courtyards. How many of you, if you'll just quickly raise your hand, are in Milano? Most of you have seen all of the work going on in all of the different courtyards. A big conversation we had, I think, either last time or the time before, was about what we were going to do and how extensive it would be. The North Courtyard, as most of you know, got some updates, mainly color and some fresh plants, because after a while they kind of get scraggly and kind of have lived their best life. So we replanted many plants there. East had some irrigation concerns and continued to have some irrigation concerns, but most of those plants were just replaced. Pergolas in both courtyards were redone. Our South Courtyard had a vision. The vision changed. We did not like it. And then we went back with a new vision, and we're still in process getting some tune-ups on the different odds and ends that stand out there. But for the most part, that courtyard got a bunch of new plantings, smaller plants that will obviously grow and mature, new pergola, some irrigation repairs, and that leads me to the irrigation repairs that have continued to create a ton of problems. The way and you guys have probably seen this, the way it is set up now is there are low points in different areas of the courtyard. Bonnie, where are you? Bonnie's here, because Bonnie's near a low part. And one of the main lines on the South Courtyard was found to have a repair. Not sure who did it, when it was done, or how long ago it was done, but the repair was less than adequate on the main line. So when water goes through the main line, there was a lot of pressure, creating a ton of leaking out of the main line, and it would pool to a low point, and it started to flood, eventually flooding to the point where then it started to go into the underground garage. We had a resident vehicle that was getting dripped on. I think Ruth was maybe the victim of that. Not yours. Maybe it was under your apartment, I think is what I'm attributing the location to. And then another major one that was brand new that kind of sprung near the trash receptacles, kind of the entry area to one of the elevators. So worked with Daniel a lot last week. Those guys tore up all sorts of spaces in our South Courtyard to try to track from that main line where they found the repair that needed to be fixed, all the way to, I guess, Bonnie's Corner, where we then were able to make repairs so that, as I know it, over the weekend they monitored the wet spots coming from the underground garage, and those have dried up. So they do believe that the main line was the cause of the parking garage leaks or drips that ultimately just kept causing problems down there. And then a lot of attention to a large leak that has been everlasting. It's actually been there since the opening of that building. It's up against a wall. It kind of drips down. It's in a corner. They've always known the source of that. It is not an actual plumbing line. It is not. What happens is when the irrigation turns on, there is a box on the east side of the Milano building. It's called a Christie box. Anybody in here know what a Christie box is? Yes. The Christie box can be anything from a box in the planter, a sunken kind of cement box that holds irrigation lines. It can hold electrical lines. It can hold conduit. It can hold, basically, it's a retaining box. What happens is the irrigation saturates the land, fills up the Christie box, and then the Christie box is full of water, and the water travels and it drips down the wall inside of the Milano garage. Several years ago, they went and filled up with some product, I don't know what it is, sealant, where they thought the Christie box was allowing water to drip through, but obviously it's not solved the problem. So they are working on that, I believe, today, but the south courtyard is still pretty exposed because they did not want to close any holes until they were 100% certain that through several days of watering, extensive watering, that the water was not making it down to the garage. So they're not giving up. It's been an ongoing problem. But I do believe we've kind of at least identified where the water is coming from, and now we're trying to find solutions that will at least last, not just be patchwork. So needless to say, one job led to another, which is how it happens everywhere, right? Whether you're in your own home or here. I remember vividly planning for my daughter's graduation. I remember I was like, we're going to do a pool. The whole backyard's going to get torn up. We're going to do a pool. Well, then when the pool got in, I was like, wow, it's so beautiful. Now we need a new fence. Because they had taken the fence down to get a bunch of the Bobcat equipment back there, and then I realized how bad the fence was. So we put a new fence. And then once everything was pulled out of the planter beds, I realized the dashing on the house looked so torn up from all the landscape. We've got to redash the house. It was like, how did we go from throwing a graduation party for a high schooler to putting $100,000 in our backyard? It's like, it happens like that. So one problem led to the next, and that's what we're seeing with the Milano courtyards. Tab, you asked, I know you and I have chatted briefly about this. I believe the capital project is somewhere around $150,000 for Milano's courtyards. Give or take, I can go back and look at the actual number we penciled in, but anything from labor, irrigation, material, warranty, the maintenance plan that they guarantee, the boulders, pergolas were included in that, which I have to tell you, those were probably the bulk of the price. I want to say they were quite expensive. We didn't plan on doing all of them. I think we had only bid originally one of them and then ended up doing all of them because of the wood issues that we noticed very quickly when we started evaluating them. So somewhere around $150,000 were spent between those three courtyards. We haven't paid them yet, so we're waiting on all of the promises of completion and the odds and ends to be wrapped up. And with Brian out, the walk to evaluate the work has not been completed. We keep pushing it out. So pretty sure they're going to come here eventually and want to get paid. But as of now, we have not paid them. What else? South Courtyard was the biggest headache of ours, the leaking underground garage, which we're actively working on, and we think we found some solutions. Daniel has been a part of it for several years, so he's pretty in the loop. It's not starting from scratch. Bistro, which I'm going to show you some updates on, is likely going to be started this year, but roll well into next year and be the bulk of our 2027 projects. I think that's all in terms of projects that I've got going on. I'll pause there. Are there any projects that I haven't mentioned that you're interested in that I can update you on? That one? Holler it. I can just holler.
Replacing chairs. Speranza here. There's a lot of complaints about the different places, and if there anything in the budget on any of those.
Yes. So 2027 is, we have a budget for this space, so chairs in this location are being budgeted. In terms of Speranza, we are not planning to change the chairs there. What will happen is you'll have a lot of furniture in Bistro that will likely be thrown or given to our affordable housing, but we will be pulling that furniture out and over to supplement as we need when we move business out of Bistro. Bistro obviously will have full updates in terms of all of the chairs, tables, etc. And then we will likely budget future, so 2028 for Speranza updates. In my opinion, and I know you guys sit in the chairs every day, so it's probably more of an issue for you. In my opinion, the last thing I want to do is just throw chairs in Speranza. Speranza needs acoustic redesign and obviously a total update front to back. So that's a much bigger project that I would really like to properly plan for and not just put a Band-Aid on it with some new chairs. So not planning on 2027 for Speranza, but this room will have new furniture for next year.
Speaking of chairs, I was wondering, some of us were wondering if it's possible to have some small folding chairs around against the walls in both the bistro and Esperanza. We're at dinner and somebody must come in. We have to pull a big chair away from another table, which means that one might need a chair eventually. And if we had a couple of chairs stacked or just piled, or not piled, but just leaning against the wall in a corner somewhere, we could pull it out and it wouldn't take as much space as a big chair.
Are we talking dining rooms?
Both.
Dining rooms. I have not heard anything of the sorts in terms of proposal. I feel a little weird about putting chairs just stacked up against the wall because of our limited space already. My gut doesn't say that that's probably the best solution, but if we are needing just more chairs for people coming in, we can talk about alternate solutions. Folding chairs are not the most secure, and propping them up in a corner worries me. But that's just me initially thinking like without a conversation. But now that I know that it's something that people are interested in or need, I can start working with Amanda on how we can solve for the need of extra chairs. You look so pretty.
Can we have a different color scheme on the chairs? I for one, am sick of orange.
In here you're talking?
In every place. Could we have some bright colors, bright colored chairs?
Is orange not bright enough for you, Carol? It's just not a pretty color. I can tell you we're not changing carpet in here, so the likelihood of going completely away from these tones are probably not ideal for this room. However, Bistro is getting a whole nother color scheme, so it will not have the current Tuscan, burnt orange, golds, burgundies, purples, wines. We're moving to a cooler palette that complements the current FF&E, the furniture and such that are in that, and paint in that building. Similarly, we're doing a change of in in our healthcare center, which is planned to install sometime early September, where a lot of the wine, the orange, the burgundy, purple color, I say wine, reds, it's not going entirely away, but they're bringing in some of the teals and sage greens and things like that to complement it. So it is changing. The hard part about it is when we did the Tuscan theme, we did it everywhere. I mean, it wasn't just, a little bit. Like we made sure it flowed, which has been wonderful. The hard part about it is people's tastes change. And then if we do want to refresh, it stands out like a sore thumb when you change one section and it just doesn't really marry to the other. So a way to approach that is finding spaces that, and I've said this before, finding spaces that stand alone. So the bistro truly does stand alone. The outside of the building matches the Tuscan theme with all of the exterior paint, but you can walk into that space and it be a separate identity. Same thing with the healthcare center. The outside of the building will match the community, but you walk in and it has a separate identity. So finding ways to do that. This room, however, does not stand alone. It is part of the greater building. So if this room was, I don't know, pink and purple, I mean, you're going to notice that everything else out those doors is just doesn't make sense. So it's a little harder when the space does not stand alone. But it does not have to be the same chair. The likelihood of me finding this same chair with the same color palette is probably rare. We will look for something similar. We actually had this conversation a few years ago, and the request was still to have the arms, to have the full back, not the low back. So the style of the chair is not something we're considering changing, but the colors, I'm completely open to making an executive decision on something a little different.
Back to the chairs in Speranza, if we know that we can't do a complete revamp until 2028, is it possible to maybe have a maintenance day or have somebody come in and look at the broken rollers and the broken legs? And that would probably be a lot more cost effective and we could overlook the ugly colors. So I think it's just like safety and comfort issue.
And the only reason I'm nodding is this has actually come up multiple times. There is a standing work order for maintenance. I have to be honest. What are we, Monday? So it had to have been Thursday or Friday. Whenever they were cleaning carpets in Speranza, Speranza, I don't know what day that was. It was either Thursday or Friday. I parked in the back and I was walking in and I seen all the chairs out on the patio. I walk right up the back stairwell. I tell Abby, did you put out on Cubigo that we are maintaining the chairs? Because the narrative is that we never maintenance the chairs. And she goes, I haven't, because we're not maintaining the chairs today, Alexis. We're cleaning the carpets. And I told her two things. Going forward, every time we pull those out, it should be a quarterly, which we set up at least every 3 months to pull all the chairs out, change the rollers. We were going to buy a mass supply of all of those things that we never have and we need. And every 3 months minimally, we were going to do a full Speranza safety check on the chairs. We agreed to that in the Buildings and Grounds Committee, and I think we talked about it here. We're not telling you guys that we're doing it. And because it happens so frequently, because it's such a high-use space, it feels like it's never getting done. So Abby knows the next time we service that space with our chair repairs, we'll put it on Cubigo so you know what's happening, and then you can keep us accountable for how frequent you're seeing that update. But it's a good plan, and that's how we're going to get by with that furniture. So did you have one as well?
I did have a question. It might be ridiculous, but have you considered? Well, I'm always ridiculous. Would it be possible, because these are really nice, sturdy chairs, to just replace the fabric? Would that just be way too costly? Have you checked it out?
I have not checked it out. It would be pretty expensive.
Well, I think maybe it should be checked. Yeah, well.
Yeah, I will say I have not checked it out. I will say we were talking about another space. Oh, this Milano Courtyards, unrelated to interior furniture, but the Milano Courtyard furniture, one of the proposals that came through in our walks was rather than replace it, because obviously it's so expensive, can we have them repowder coat it, for instance? And the cost was twice the cost of brand new furniture. So, and again, that was one thing that we explored, kind of trying to repair. These, I don't know that we have. I do believe these have been ruined over the course of our COVID days when they were spraying that chemical product all over everything. It really ruined the furniture. So Ellen was saying there's not a lot of businesses that actually do it. Oh, I have not investigated it. I have not. I can put Joe on it, but you guys know how she feels about the furniture. It's literally the death of her. She hates to have to pick or wait or order or anything, because she always has the worst luck. But we will. We can definitely explore it. Is there another one?
They have put new tables in Tuscany Commons, which has raised the table height at least 2.5 inches higher. So those of us sitting in the existing chairs, our study materials are right about at our chins. And another need for some changes in chairs due to the top tables. There's 2 separate tabletops. And I've moved one a little bit to find out that there's like a different whole black felted playing table, whether it's poker or what, underneath the top tabletop.
Am I not mistaken? I think we took the poker tables from Milano Commons to Tuscany Commons. So those are actually game tables. Is that right? Those are the tables. And I feel like Joe did order chairs for that. Am I wrong? Let me follow up on that, because what happened is we moved the billiards room. We bought new tables of the shape requested for Milano Commons. We bought new furniture for the first floor where the billiards was. So I'm not entirely clear on what our final plan was for Tuscany Commons. I think in the midst of all of the moving furniture, we had some broken furniture out there. So I do believe that's why those tables moved, because they're nice, good shape, usable tables, but I can't remember if we landed on either just keeping the chairs we had or actually ordering. So let me find out and I can update you. Yeah, I cannot recall what we ended up doing there.
I don't have a question about chairs.
But I'm wondering, while the bistro is being remodeled, will the same menu from the bistro be offered in Speranza?
Probably not. But I have to tell you why. Speranza operates full time even when we're not eating in there, because they're making breakfast, lunch, and dinner for assisted living, memory support, and health center. So because that kitchen is not out of service during lunch, it is actually making lunch and prepping for dinner, we will likely have to create a modified menu that can be accommodated in Speranza during the window of construction. But what that looks like, I don't know, because we have not even talked about moving the operation over yet. But I don't want to overpromise. I likely will not have as much option during that construction window because they don't have a ton of kitchen back there to do everything with. So probably trying to look for pre-made options, but also things that can be prepared out front, because there is a cooktop there, but it would likely be limited. Yeah, but more to come. I mean, obviously our goal is going to be to give you as much as we can. But I do know that kitchen is, if you've been on the tour, it's not abundant. It's pretty limited space. And since they're already using it for higher levels of living, we probably won't have a huge cooking space for lunch. But we will give you lunch. That's the good thing. We will have food. Yeah, I get it. The hope is that we will not be an extended period of time, although construction is never on time, and then we can get ourselves moved back into bistro. Other questions? I like your top, Anne.
I'm new, and I have noticed I'm a master gardener and a botany major or minor, and it seems like the watering in Tuscany is a real problem. The poor guys are doing it by hand and turning on valves by hand. And I just was curious what the background problem is.
Yeah, thank you. I put this a memo to Abby this morning to put out on Cubigo, so it should be on there by now. There is, over a week now, there's been a pump out, and the pump operates watering schedules for Tuscany and for Sequoia. So we've had some major watering issues in both. That's not to say that before the pump issue that there wasn't also irrigation concerns, whether there were working sprinklers or missing, drip lines. I'm sure that was an issue out there throughout the community, but what we've learned, or what I learned as of this morning, is that the pump they've been going back and forth trying to fix it with the irrigation process, but they do think it's an electrical issue. So they had an electrical vendor out this morning between 9 and 10 trying to resolve, because they'd get the pump working, it'd go, and then it'd blow the breaker. So then they'd be back without the operation of the pump. So that is why they're out there watering by hand, trying to salvage as much as possible. So I did ask Abby, please put that out there. The concern is that we're just not watering things, and the guys are out there killing themselves trying to keep things alive. So they just needed to tell you what was going on.
I noticed that the guys, will turn the hose on full blast on the trunk of a tree, which is not where it needs the water. It needs it out in the circumference of the leaves. And I explained that to the guy working in front, and he had no clue. And that where you need to water a tree is further out, not blasting the water onto the root zone.
I did not know that either. Then how come when they put the irrigation, they put it right up against the trunk of the tree? That's what I have in my front yard. My crepe myrtle, which is a very happy tree, has it right up against the trunk of the tree. Did I see another hand? They are more tolerant. Yeah. No, I thought there was another one here. I will reinforce that. That's not something I was aware of either. So these guys are not master gardeners, so they're not trained in that manner. But I think the more we educate them, I think they're open to doing it right and doing it better. Yeah. Did you call me? Oh. Okay. Is she watching us? Oh, Joe Hansen. They're not the same tables from Milano Commons. Those were a lot taller, but they are poker tables. I originally ordered chairs, but the company canceled the order and went out of business. I thought the ones in there were okay until about 2 weeks ago when she received a complaint. So as it stands, there is no chair replacement on order. What I can tell you is we can look at options, but what I can't tell you is whether or not we have the resources to pay without them being a capital project. So let me look at it with Joe just to find out what we're talking about. Seat cushions, booster seats. Ellen said resident council money possibly could support purchasing chairs, which I know we're always looking for projects, so that can be something. Yeah. Now that I know there's nothing out there coming, and I do remember because this is part of the debacle with Joe and the furniture ordering situation. So I knew there were several issues. Let's look at how many we need and cost and get some estimates, and we'll start talking with resident council, see if we can partner on the project. Thank you for. All right, we're back. We are back. Are you guys ready to see what I have for the bistro? All right. As you will recall, wait, Ames, this is just my screensaver. Thank you. There we are. Tell Joe not to say anything mean on her Teams chat because she's on the screen. All right. Okay, really fast. Fast casual was the direction. I do believe my YouTube video that presented this last week on the call shows a little bit more of a formal space just by trying to create a rendering. So don't get hung up on the color of the curtain or anything. More than anything, it's the flow of the space. Keep in mind, if you are standing on Garden Terrace Boulevard looking at the bistro, the door is going to move over to the east. Okay. And a lot of the interior pillars were going to go away, except for one that is helping with the ceiling transition. It's not load bearing, but it is a ceiling transition piece. Our original proposal that I shared with you had a lot of pillars, and I got feedback from residents trying to suggest that we put tables around the pillars to eliminate all of the obstacles. So they were able to eliminate the pillars. When you walk in, again, if we're walking into the bistro, there's kind of an entry, I call it a decorative wall. It's not a full wall to the ceiling, but it was meant to create a barrier. We got a lot of feedback about hot air blowing in and cold air blowing in, and we're not creating a vestibule, so this kind of creates a barrier from point of entry. We did bench seating where we could, which adds to the acoustic sound absorption because you have different surfaces on the bench seating than you do on traditional chairs. 70 seats in total in comparison to, I believe, 74 in there now. So we do lose a couple seats. We had talked about the door walking out to the pool. Originally, we wanted to remove the door, push the wall out towards the pool, but that's about $100,000 to be able to create a ceiling, soffit, and rooftop for that limited square footage. So we're going to keep it where it is, but we are going to close up the door and it'll become a window. And then they will create seating around that little bump in. So we will have seating there. We're just not going to gain the 6 extra seats that we would have gotten if we would have pushed it out. We talked about this in originally one phase, which was going to be interior plus the added outside seating. That is 100% going to happen, but it's going to happen in 2 phases. We're going to focus on the inside of the restaurant, all of the permitting, all of the construction, all of the finishings, and at a later time come back and do the exterior. There's a lot of reason behind it, and the biggest one is the moment we open that up, it brings in part of the city that we don't actually want to have here during that project. That will delay it for a very long time. So to parcel it out creates less attention and hopefully will create a quicker outcome where we can get things done faster. So you will only see the interior rendering. And this is done in a YouTube video. So it moves kind of quick. We can play it more than one time. And I can always share the link if you're interested in just kind of looking at it on your own. Let's get there first. All right. Amy, the biggest thing I want to do is make sure it's full screen. All right, so you're walking in. This is to your right, your self-kiosk with the grab and go, your 2 checkout stations. This is looking at it, again, if you're standing at the registers, checkout with the window looking into where Sandy's Bakery will be. This is kind of a over the counter of the cashier table, just to show finishes and textures. Your cook area, you can see we've closed off one side where you all were sitting. Sandy's little workstation back there. You can see it'll be a mix of square, round, and I call it counter or bar top seating. This is the aisleway, like you're walking. Geez Louise, it goes so fast. This is your self-help. So your coffee, your water, your condiments. This is that back wall where you see the big table now in the back of Bistro. This right here is the pool. Instead of it being a door, there's a banquette seating. It kind of wraps around. Different seats as well, bucket seats, traditional dining room chairs to differentiate 2 tops and 4 tops. So there's a mix of seats. This is on the inside of that entry wall. There's a small bench, so people who are waiting for to-go orders. This is facing Garden Terrace Boulevard. Again, can I do it one more time? I'll shut up and get out of the way because I'm standing in front of you. That's the one pillar that will stay. This will give them a full operating back of house. Right now they just have a kind of a partial and they're running back and forth to the back of the kitchen. It's looking out towards the pool. This is looking right now at if you're looking towards the bathrooms, that walkway there. Trash, drinks, condiments. On the left side of the screen is where that current door is to the pool. Kind of wraps around, so there's seating around that entire bump out. The key here is to introduce textures, also to introduce cooler tones. So you'll see some of the blues, the grays, corals. I did ask the question on the call as we were ending. Those valances, the Roman shades up top, she talked about how far they come down. I did ask about window coverings. They suggested, just based off of visual and kind of the trend, is to look at more of a window tint instead of actually putting window coverings in the windows. We didn't settle on anything. Obviously, I want it to be comfortable. Right now, we have the 2-inch faux wood that gets full of dust. We pull them up, we pull them down, there's strings, we do the whole thing. But nothing in that shows window coverings. It just shows the decorative Roman valances up top. Those will stay, but whether or not we want to move to window blinds or a window tint, that has not been decided. So I did ask them to show what the tint would look like. I want to make sure that it's actually going to provide the shade, because this is east facing on that pool side for sure. And it gets pretty bright in there, we know, because we took everything off at one time when we were painting and cleaning, and we got a lot of requests to put the window coverings back. So as of now, we're not decided. So I'm open to feedback or questions or suggestions whether window blinds versus a window tint would be preferred by the residents. But also open up to any other questions, concerns.
I think it looks beautiful. I think it looks really relaxing, because there's a lot of chaos that goes on in there. It'll probably still be there. My one question, and I really couldn't tell from the video, is parking for walkers and scooters, because right now it impacts the path the servers take to get to tables. And I really couldn't tell from the...
I don't think there is a dedicated space created. I think as it stands, we're trying to get as many seats as we have in there, but whether or not we choose to remove seating to account for that is up to us once we decide on an interior. But they didn't create like an alcove or anything like that like we did out here. Anything else?
This has to do more with people, with what we're going to do in the time when the bistro is being worked on and we are all eating in the Speranza, because there's hardly room for people in the Speranza right now, and they're running out of food. Before, everyone doesn't eat at 4:00 or even 5:00. Some people come at 6:00, and it's so there's not room for everybody. People are bringing a lot of guests, and how is that going to be handled when everybody has to eat in the Speranza 3 meals a day?
I mean, I would first say that I don't know that Speranza has less seating than Bistro. So, I mean, we could go back and forth to decide which one does. I don't know that I've ever counted it out. My instinct tells me from previous construction projects that during a construction process, most residents don't actually encourage their outside guests to come in, just because it is a limited menu or an alternate venue and the experience is not quite the same. I'm not expecting you to stop inviting guests, but I've just seen kind of the trend. We've built this building, we've built the bistro. There have been periods where our dining rooms were under construction, and the outside volume does just naturally kind of reduce because it's construction. Breakfast is not crazy in terms of overall amount of people, so Speranza is going to be just fine handling breakfast crowd. But we're going to have to look at the lunch and see, do we extend hours? Is the current hours going to stand? I mean, we're flexible, but no plan has been established as we are now. Go to her next.
Carol was talking about evening, 4 and 4:30. Bistro's not open then anyway. So it's not going to make any difference if the bistro's closed in the evening, because it's what it is now, correct?
I think she was just trying to make a point of food running out over there. Right, Carol, you were just also including the fact that they're challenged with running out of food right now. That was just a point added to the capacity. I've not heard that, so it's something that typically Amy takes down notes and we bring these notes back so that I can meet with, for instance, Amanda and say, hey, have you heard about this? What's going on? And we can get to the bottom of it.
I moved in when this place, this wasn't here, Milano wasn't here, the library was somewhere else, everything. And they did a wonderful job. They have people who know what they're doing. And so I think we can relax.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Don't put any pressure on me. No. In all fairness, when you don't know what's going to happen or how your daily routine is going to change, it's everybody wants to know that, right? So I get it. And as soon as we have answers, it won't be something I think of all by myself. We will talk to dining committee. We will talk to buildings and grounds. Like other folks will be a part of the sounding board, because the last thing I want to do is think I know how you want it to work and then screw it up. So we'll talk a lot more as we get closer to actually a project and keep you abreast of what the plan is. What else? Anything else besides bistro? Oh, Marie has one. We'll stay on it. There you go. You're welcome.
I know you said you would check with committees, and I think that's great. You need their input, but you need input from some of us like today, where you let larger groups come in and other than just the committees, because they're the same people every time.
All I can say is I'm always asking for it. So if you have feedback now that you want to give, it would be appropriate, or you don't have to be on a committee to tell me your ideas. I hope you know that. And the idea behind a committee, just to be specific, is that sometimes people don't feel comfortable coming to me. I don't know if that's entirely true, but I've heard that. And then you have a neighbor or a peer to go to get the same message across. So do not think that the committee is the only group of people giving me feedback. I have people that call and text me unsolicited for feedback. So I encourage it. What else? Nothing else? Anybody else got gossip to talk about? No? How is day to day? I mean, are things going smooth? Are there issues or concerns that we're not talking about? We've talked about capital projects, but are there just normal things going on that you're wanting answers about, or no? This is good. This is really good. You guys are messing with me, huh? You like the going. Tab's like, no, you go.
I was just wondering, how long is this construction going to go on? Do you have any idea?
For bistro?
Mm-hmm.
They said 6 months, but
6 months?
But I never count on it.
It'd be longer, you think?
She said, how long is the project expected to go on for bistro? And I said 6 months, but you can never guarantee construction. I hear when we get closer, once we know the start date, we can bet on it. Pool on it, run a pool on it. That'll be fun. I will say during construction, although it's a time of upheaval where your kind of routine is out of sorts, there are ways to make it fun. I mean, getting in, hard hat tours and getting kind of the backstage, view pictures and being a part of the process. That is something we try to bring to you just so you can stay in the loop. And the truth is, a lot of you watch it, right, when it's going on. So you bring stuff to our attention well before I even know it's happened, because you're here and you see it. So it can be fun, even though it's a little stressful in the process. I'll give an example. How many of you had been to San Joaquin Gardens before this building was constructed? So before 2015. There used to be a big chapel, very steep building, A-frame building. And it was basically the Holiday Theater. That was our Holiday Theater. If you would have had a stage, we did service, we did parties, we did events and entertainment in there. And they were going to tear the building down, But I forget whose idea it was, but we notified the fire department. The fire department decided that they would use the building because of the steepness of the roof line to do some training. So that we announced it, we're going to have firefighters on campus. They're going to get up there. They're going to cut the ceiling open. They're going to, sprawl down the side of the building. Who knows what they're ladders, you name it. Women were lined up with their garden chairs. It was a full day's event. They had chairs, like when you're getting ready for a parade, just lining them up, get there the early seats. And just sat out there and watched them scale the building and cut the building open. And so you can have fun with it. We probably won't have any firefighters here during the bistro. Yeah. Unless we invite them over, which we can do, I guess.
I just wanted to add, since there's a big crowd here, that speaking of committees, we're always looking for people that are interested to serve on committees. And we're redoing the application. It'll be available out by the mailboxes probably in about a week if you're interested. And if you have any questions, please feel free to talk to me or to any of the other people on the board. And if you want to spend some time on helping your other residents and serving as a volunteer, we are always looking for more people. So please come and tell us if you're interested. Get involved. It doesn't going to get anything done to sit back in your apartment and complain about it to yourself or your spouse or whomever. So come and tell us if you have things you need to.
Thank you. Yes. I like that. All right. Sorry, Christine.
Well, I have a comment, and I know I can go ask for information, but I have a comment. And being, I'm 3.5 months here. So when I hear things that I've never experienced, like the Speranza running out of food, see, I don't know the scope of what's being talked about. So, I guess I just come and talk to somebody, or it confuses me as being fairly new. I'm not sure what some of the concerns are, that I haven't experienced them, but yet I know I understand, and I feel really good about having the opportunity. I have very good responses on my comments, and I always try to educate as opposed to criticize, and I'm glad to hear about it, but I don't have a concept of what that is. I've never been to Speranza and haven't run out of food other than the action bar, that they finished. And I know there's limits on that at times. But my next question is that sometimes when I'm there at later, and I appreciate the fact, especially when they have like the chickpea salad, I say, can I get it to go with it? Because, and so anyway, some of the things that people may be facing, I appreciate the comments, but I don't have a perspective of it. And so I just wanted to give that perspective.
Yeah, thank you. And to be fair, I don't always either. I mean, and I'm here a lot and for a long time. So I think sometimes just sharing it at larger groups where we can bring it back to Amanda and make sure people are, that voice is being heard. And it could be a one-off. It could be an ongoing. At this point, I don't have the same information. Yeah. Yeah. But action stations, you would expect that there is a finite number, right? They purchase based off of what they expect the volume to be. But sometimes you guys blow us away and really love something, or happen to have a heavy night of visitors and friends. And that also isn't something we can, know in advance. So it is bound to happen that action stations will run out if it's good stuff. All right. We're getting close to time. Typically, for those of you that are new, we always invite coffee mugs. The story goes, every time I've seen a mug, I've learned something from you all, whether it's where you brought it back from or a story that is close and near and dear to you. I try to get them when I travel, which I get to do a few times a year, so I don't always have the biggest collection of mugs. But I have to say, my last travel was to Hawaii. And it was a wonderful occasion, and I did not bring a mug back. I brought magnets back, which has been my tradition. All of the mugs, believe it or not, were very commercial, I was really looking for one with a rooster or a chicken on it, because in Maui, there are literally chickens in every parking lot and on every street, and that's just hilarious to me, that they're walking around just rampant. And because I didn't find one that had a rooster or a chicken on it, I refused to buy one with a rainbow that said Maui. It's like, no. So hopefully next time. But this one I brought back when I was down in Mexico, and I brought it one other time. I got it down in Puerto Vallarta, which I love kind of more the artisan style handmade mug. So somebody said it looks like it could be from Hawaii, so I could have just lied and said I brought this one back. But I'm an honest person, so I didn't say that. Looking around the room, I tried to eyeball most of your cups and mugs. And yes, I did get to see her kitty mugs and then the grandma one, which I love. Can I ask, is that actually handwritten, like chalk? Does it rinse off or is it permanent?
This is already about 15 years old.
15, yeah.
It's been washed, and the kids made it.
It literally has handwritten, I love you, Grandma, on the side of it, which I thought, I couldn't tell if it was actually, Grandpa. I couldn't tell if it was like a paint on there or if it was actual chalk. But I have to tell you, as I walked around the room, there was one that stood out to me, and I have to just appreciate it and show it off here. Kathy, will you hold your mug up? Hers is a Desert Storm veteran mug. And I asked, as she stood there with it, I said, you or a family member? And she made it a point to say, me. And I just wanted to say thank you for your service. But I also appreciate the reason you carry that, and that's to showcase that not all veterans are men. So I love that, and I wanted to be able to shout her out. So big round of applause for Kathy, who's newer to the community. I have a prize for you, which I'll bring over. Thank you for being one of the newer comers and bringing your mug in. For those that didn't, shame on you. You missed out on snacks. We need to hold out on the snacks, Amy. Only give them snacks if they bring their mugs. Yes. Thank you so much. With that, we'll conclude What's Brewing. I'll stick around. I always do. I'll stick around before I go to the board meeting in case you were too shy to share or ask questions. And as always, don't wait for a meeting. Please come by, text me, call me, talk to one of your friends that is less shy than you. We want you to have all the information. This is your house. This is your home. And if we're doing things and you don't know why or when or the background that you want to know, all you got to do is ask. We want to make sure you're informed. So thank you for selling out the house and filling up the Holiday Theater. I look forward to seeing you next month. Have a nice afternoon.